my whole theory is like we created this insane technology, machines and AI and all this. So why don't we use that to help the environment? Because we have been destroying it little by little, but just as humans. But now we have this tool where now we can all be way more efficient. So maybe we can actually recover the damage 4 times faster by using technology,
Hello, and welcome to the New Humans for New Earth podcast. I'm Queenie, your host. And on this podcast, we introduce you to wisdom, perspectives, and information to support and inspire you in making more aligned choices in your life. Joining me today is Alvaro Campomanes. Alvaro is a local DJ, environmentalist, and the owner of GeoARI. Prior to starting GeoARI, Alvaro spent 10 years working for local, state, and even the federal government, hoping to channel his environmental knowledge and passion into helping to heal the planet. And after those 10 years, he found himself frustrated and demoralized. Today, Alvaro works with individual landholders as well as businesses to do the very kind of work he was hoping to do in his various government roles. He's here to share his experience working with the government, as well as to tell us about the projects that he's working on today. Please join me in giving a warm New Humans welcome to Alvaro Campomanes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Gosh.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. I don't know if you realize this, but you were actually one of the first people that I met in the dance community here.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. It was like one of my first ever events, and you were DJing.
Yeah.
And you were there, and you were wearing this like gold bomber jacket, looking so cool, like waiting to go on for your set.
Good old days.
Yes. Yes.
That's really cool to kind of come back to that.
Yeah. You're definitely an early inspiration for me too. I mean, when I started DJing, you were actually part of one of my first like lessons, like unintentionally, but you happened to be there and you gave me some tips and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I appreciated it because you gave me one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever received.
Okay.
Which is like, when you take the stage, like throw on some fanfare, let them know you're there. And I was like, all right, okay, I see you,
That's
and I still do that. I mean, I haven't DJ'd for a minute, but like when I do, like
You gotta read the crowd, and just let them have it. For me, it's like a healing thing, like a healing conduit. So there's like other powers at play when I'm DJing. It feels like it's not like. And it's not coming from like, at least for now, it's really nice that, as I took a little step back and kind of like ego death, this, that, recalibrating, healing, kind of like bringing everything back up from kind of scratch. Now, when I kind of DJ it's really more like just doing it for the love and because I want to be there in that opportunity and because I want to offer like healing and like curate a space. And it's great to kind of have let that go, the whole like kind of more competitive aspect, comparing, like constantly trying to, be up here, the politics, this, that, like it just got really overwhelming and tiring, and now I'm just kind of letting those moments happen. Like I'm not really asking for gigs anymore, but they're kind of coming to me as they need to. And a lot of times when I have the most fun and connect with my community is when it's like those after parties or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be a stage or anything anymore. So I'm kind of coming at it from that angle. Yeah, it's been really nice. Kind of slowly, and I've been focusing a lot on my company and I'm like super busy, but it's really great. But yeah, now I have to kind of like focus more on my scheduling and work-life balance again and kind of like just do it,
100%. I feel you there. Yeah. I similarly have like taken a step back from DJing recently, also to focus on my company and this project.
Hell yeah. Power to that.
Yeah. And it's, for years I was like, I'm not a morning person. I can't do that or whatever. It's just like limitations to your schedule. But lately I'm like, oh, it's 7 a.m. and I'm awake on the weekend. Like, okay, we're morning people now.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
To have a balance,
Well, and also just like flowing with life, just because you were a party person and stayed up until sunrise over and over again for however many years. It's like, that doesn't have to be your life forever.
Exactly. I'm leaning and accepting the stages of life, and that's what life is, and it's a beautiful thing that I did have that moment of fame. I was like going to festivals in Guatemala, Costa Rica, actually like traveling and DJing and I kind of had that moment. And yeah, like even though sometimes I'm like, that rock star that doesn't have it good anymore, they're just like depressed and like kicking the can and like, oh, I used to have it. I'm like really leaning into like, that was what that was. And now, you can kind of be, I'm kind of exploring this multimedia, like, content creation, which is great. I'm like mixing the music and the media, and like I'm really going into the media, and the media can sustain me way more. I'm completely living off of my media. I have like 10 really good clients, and some of this mapping stuff too that I'm going to talk about today, more the environmental conservation side of things too. Have like 2 really good mapping clients now, and I'm building like this natural pond for one of them in Washington.
Very cool.
So anyways, like it's like super busy, but this is something that will actually I can live off of, and it's an asset, it's an investment, because you can sell it in the future. You can like have passive if you just like kind of like, but I never felt like the DJing, it was great parties, it was great things, but kind of like making it through that. And also it was very, as a Pisces and Taurus, like I need stability, and like the whole ups and downs of traveling and not being grounded and stuff just didn't work with my like self, with who I am, but anyways.
Feel that. Yeah. I mean, for me, you're talking about like building something that can sustain you. I mean, for me, one of the insights that I had at the last Burning Man that I went to is I was like, shoot, like, I had co-leads, but I'm like, I helped build this camp out of nothing. I had dozens of people following me into the desert. Like, there is this like camp that is bringing like this vibe, and like the mutant vehicle that we had didn't exist, without my effort, my money, my whatever, right? And I'm like, in the context of Burning Man, it's like, yeah, it was a fun time, but it wasn't feeding me.
Yeah, it's a lot of outward.
And I'm like, I'm frittering away all this energy. Like, I can be an incredibly effective co-creator in this life, in this realm. So I kind of had a similar thing. I'm like, okay, well, let's direct this back to something that actually sustains me.
Exactly, and something that has more value and more oomph, like you can scale, it's just like there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurship in this country, and like if you know how to play the cards and do the taxes right, do this, that, like take advantage of the cuts and the things that help you, and if you're just like driven and just keep going, like it works. And I'm seeing that finally, so keep it going and keep feeding yourself, and then we'll have enough time, and we'll have resource to actually. And then once you have enough resource, you can make, I invest in like 3 different markets and things. And, one of them is the company, but then you can let the money kind of do the work for you. And then you can come back, I think, in the future with like, oh, now I have a lot more time, but I'm in a place of resource. So like, heck yeah, I'm building a studio, buying 200 records, and let's go. Let's go. So nice. It's a lifelong thing. I'm not like pressuring myself that I have to do this now or this or that. I'm just kind of letting it all flow as it needs to flow. So
good for you.
Yeah.
And this moment too, I mean, you're kind of pointing to this, but it feels to me like this moment, especially as we're like moving into this transition for New Earth, right? Or to New Earth, like it feels like this is a moment for work. Like there are moments for play.
Yeah.
But like it feels like there's stuff that needs to get done.
Yeah, you can't just be a consumer and like you know, in theory, you can't just like talk about all these ideas and have it be theory. You actually have to execute through your words into action and actually leave an imprint on Earth, you know, like, you know, today before I came here, I was with my buddy TJ, and he has this new hobby now that he created where he goes in his neighborhood creeks and he like builds a trail. Like he like looks at the trail that is already there, and he like is like has like seeds and shakers, like pollinator seeds, and he's like guerrilla, like put in seeds. He's taking out trash. He's rebuilding and kind of helping the beavers and kind of rebuilding the dams, how they're going. So he's like making natural bridges so people can go through and experience that. And he's just calling it like guerrilla, like I don't know, like trail, like neighborhood trail, urban trailing, or something silly like that.
Yeah.
But it's sick. It's like connecting him to nature. And then, you know, I do a lot of like mushrooming and natural foraging, you know, and there was nettles there, fiddleheads. Like we were like, holy crap, you got a lot of food there. And we saw an owl, and then we saw like a family of raccoons, and we actually accidentally treed one, but it was the baby. But we were like, don't worry, we're leaving. And the baby came down. It was cool. So it was just like in like 20-30 minutes, like we were instantly connected to nature, and we were like cleaning it up and, you know, expanding the trail so people can use it. And it's all like public land, because it's like a water source, you know. Water source is like protected with the riparian habitat in both sides. So it was sick, you know. It's these little things that we can incorporate in our lives that are so easy to connect to nature again, you know.
And do some good
It feels good, like cutting the things and, you know, getting rid of old trees and kind of, and then like picking up trash and, you know, helping out the waterway is like sick.
Yeah.
You know, I love water, by the way.
Totally.
That's my.
You said you're a Pisces?
Yeah, Pisces, but I'm also like basically a water engineer. Like I've done a lot of work academically with like city governments and with what I do to protect water. You know? 'Cause it's the lifeline. It's like the veins and arteries of Earth. And if you clean the water, and then it cleans everything. You know? Anyways.
Yeah. No, I mean, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, one of the things that I love about the burner community is that you can know someone for years and not know what they do professionally.
Yeah.
There was actually
it's so true. We're all just like partying, and we're like, but there are some great minds, and we just need to kind of do more, you know.
Well, right, because like I know them based on their role within the burner community, right? Because so often we're doing like multiple, we have night jobs as well as day jobs, right? Or night shifts or whatever. But like there was this one guy that I knew for like 5 years. He was at my wedding even.
Yeah.
Did not know what he did professionally. And it came up a couple of times, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because in the default world, right? Or what we used to refer to as the default world, it's like, that's all you know about someone.
Yeah.
Are you married? What's your job? Like, you know, like, right? And then the fact that I knew this person and had such deep experiences with them, but didn't know what they did professionally, just felt so good to me, so refreshing. And you're kind of an example of that. Like, I did not realize until very recently that you had worked for the government.
Oh yeah, I used to work for NOAA Fisheries.
Tell me more. I'm curious now.
So just kind of growing up, we'll just go, like quickly hit my childhood, but my mom was always like, you know, like planting. She's always been a green thumb, you know, had a lot of plants growing up, and she would be the one that like when it's raining and like we had a pool, and like if bees fell in the pool, she'd be like, Alvaro, come on, we gotta save the bees and all this and that. So she kind of in a very early point in my life like instilled this like thought of like, oh, we're like not the only things in this earth. Like there is this relationship with animals and insects and things that, matter. There's something there. Why is this, even in my like, why is this like intervening with my actions in this world, and what am I doing? So that kind of like, I've always been very we've always moved a lot too, because my stepdad was subcontracted by the Navy, so a lot of moving. Portland was the 9th city I've lived in.
Oh, wow.
So I've always learned to kind of like be a people's person and kind of like not focus too much on one spot on earth, but kind of become more of a globalized kind of citizen, and that really got me interested in culture and cultural immersion and kind of anthropology. But then I had this love for like plants and kind of nature and kind of like life beyond like what it is to be just like a human or like a city kind of landscape or whatever. I kind of did a little bit of engineering in college when I came in. I did like a little bit of psychology. I was kind of trying to figure out and then I had like a flash and I was like, I've always loved earth science, always loved like tectonics, like geology, the physical side of earth, weather, meteorology. Like I really understanding the environment was like really, really cool to me. Yeah. So then I kind of found geography.
Okay.
Because my roommate was doing like all these mapping out these constellations and stuff. And I was like, dude, what are you studying? I'm like doing like boring engineering here and physics and stuff, which it's good that I got that background because I did end up getting a minor in environmental engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely very like science, kind of like at the beginning of my kind of career life, but then I really discovered the artistic side and like the need for the creative outlet too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's extremely crucial for people to have both in their lives for their brains, to, prevent many things in the future, but also it's just like necessary,
Well, and also just for the richness of your soul.
Exactly. Because like you don't have to do something for money. You can just do it for pleasure and for, there's many other currencies that the universe has a book that is not the capitalistic monetary system. You know what I mean? Like doing good deeds, being a good person, like picking up trash, all of that is recorded, and like, like I'm fortunate that because I have been a big advocate and a fighter for nature in so many ways, like I am feeling the abundance, and like I am being repaid with, just like success in my movement, and more people are getting interested in it, and I'm very healthy, and I have a good relationship now that we're like have a nice temple, like a love shack at home, and it just feels like now things are very fluid and easy, and like things are just falling into place, that I've given myself for many years to kind of get to this point where I'm like, everything's converging and it's all falling into the right place. And I feel like, oh, this is really cool. Like I have a little bit of everything, in my life.
I was thinking about this concept recently. It's, I was thinking about it in terms of kind of like banking. Like, I feel like more and more I'm like banking with the universe, right? It's like, you kind of got to show it that you're going to show up and do the right stuff.
Yeah.
But once you like get that kind of credit built, then you're kind of in this I don't know how to describe it. It's like a relationship where like, you're gonna get blessings, and then if you do good things with those blessings, then you'll get more blessings, and it just kind of keeps flowing.
Just keeps going. Yeah. I went on a tangent. Do you want me to finish my history kind of thing?
Please.
So kind of like then into college, I found geography, and I was doing environmental engineering. I knew I wanted to do stuff for the environment. And then I did a major in geography with a GIS concentration, which is Geographic Information Science. It's like using mapping and cataloging things and then putting different layers of data to visualize patterns and processes that are happening on Earth. And it's really, really helpful to study environmental stuff because there's many inputs in those systems, and this is a good way to kind of visualize things, to kind of predict things. And I've used GIS a lot for water quality, which kind of is the segue, after like college, I decided I really thought that water was the main thing I needed to like do. Pisces, water boy, fisherman. Like we had waterfront. I went fishing, went deep sea fishing in Virginia and the East Coast, and then I did hunting. So I was like already like, okay, I see the value in like natural resources and like fish and game meat and like this is how we eat what we used to do, you know. So maybe if I heal the water, we're healing everything, our fish, our, you know, streams. Or so then I went to so GIS with a concentration in conservation, environmental like development, and a little bit of urban planning stuff, and then environmental engineering minor. So then I kind of
How many degrees do you have?
just two. But it was bachelor. I didn't get a master's yet. I've gotten certifications, but you know, then I kind of went into working for the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, and then that's a nonprofit org in the East Coast, Chesapeake Bay, and they just, you know, I was doing like going to homeowners and installing rain barrels and telling them about like, you know, BMPs, best management practices, and how to like absorb and capture water with rain beds and like native planting and invasive control and, you know, permaculture, pollinators, all these things. So we did a lot of that, and then I got into work with like city governments doing like outfall inspections, like the stormwater runoff that goes into rivers. Like I would get companies and things, I would do testing and get them in trouble with the government, which was great. I've done some mosquito work, like malaria testing, like capturing malaria, and some like laboratory work, and I found a case of malaria in Virginia, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
And they alerted like the schools and all this, and then I got into like more water quality work, and then I worked for the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, doing stream walks. So kind of like just going through streams and assessing the health of it, and do microinvertebrate testing and do water quality testing and like reporting on it. And then I came here and I got the job like a federal government agency that does space stuff and weather, but they also do like resources of like food, like fisheries, like fish.
Sure.
And then I was doing, we made this tool with my supervisor, the recovery action mapping tool, to track all the recovery actions in all of the West Coast for all of the biologists working and everything. So we made a standardized system that they could all use and kind of speak the same language.
So recovery action, tell me what that means.
Like creating more spate, more habitat for salmon, creating, taking out dams, building fish passage, just things that are going to help the species of salmon that are endangered.
Okay, so it's like a project tracker.
It's a project tracker all over the West Coast for all the recovery actions that are happening for salmon and steelhead fish. Yeah, and we like kept track of different species of salmon and families and where their quarter and how they travel up, and like, it was crazy. It was like super large data. The set, like then I kind of got burned out with the bureaucracy and like the inability for government and these like large systems to kind of like get the actual work done. And then, I got demoralized by some of these fish biologists that are working like 40 years on like saving a fish. And then administration change, boom, funding gets cut. And then there goes all the work they did their whole life,
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the knowledge and experience I've gotten in like more of the top down, kind of policy things and like studies, and I'm just going to create a drone mapping company that is going to put it all together, and I'm going to help landowners that have a lot of land to really get to know their land and have them do it like right there with individual people,
Yeah. You said that you sort of got into this work because of water. Was it just an interest in water, or I mean, you said healing the water.
Yeah.
You said you were interested in healing the water. So my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that you like got into government work in order to help heal the planet.
Yes.
And how long were you doing that for?
I was doing like nonprofits, like governments in city level and county level and federal level eventually.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for like, 10 years or something like that.
Okay.
I was pretty active in kind of, doing different things and kind of trying to understand the top down.
So you've like engaged in all levels of government sort of with this motivation of wanting to do work to help the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating perspective, right? Because I think that most people, one, haven't worked for the government, or at least many people haven't worked for the government. And two, I think what's really interesting about this moment is that one of the things that seems to be happening is that the government's like, we're not here to help.
100%. And specifically for environmental stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've gone the other direction, in fact,
Totally. So. Yeah. Like, and I think that's leaving a lot of people feeling betrayed.
Yeah. I checked on my supervisors and like my team just to see where were they at after Doge and this whole like basically all of them got laid off. Now they're like, oh yeah, we just went to private companies and we're like moved. So it's sad, like the team that we had and like that passion and that sliver of hope for the environment is gone too, like in the federal level. So it's like, clearly we got to do it ourselves. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering if sort of that's a little bit of like the takeaway from this moment, right? Because what you just said was interesting. Is you said the sliver of hope. Yeah. Because these agencies, at least so far as I understand, you've got the sort of political branches of the government, right? You've got Congress, you've got the judiciary is not supposed to be political, but they're all political appointees, right? And then you've got the executive, which is obviously political. Yeah. And then these sort of administrative bodies or agencies are meant to be insulated from that, right? They're meant to be non-political agencies which execute on policies, right? But then we have the problem that you said, which is that the sort of the funding, the focus, the regulations and things that they are meant to execute on change when the executive changes, right? Yeah. But nonetheless, you still said the sliver of hope. And so, so this moment, I mean, people feel betrayed. People feel like, shoot, I thought government was here to do this. Yeah. But I wonder, like, based on your experience, does that really does that play out? Did you feel like the government bodies that you were working for were like actually effective at that? The government is, we talk about bureaucracy and like all the red tape, and there's a competition between all these agencies that want different things. And unfortunately, because we live in this capitalistic system, the agencies that get through more, military agencies, the Army Corps of Engineers were fighting to produce more energy. They want more dams. They don't care about salmon. They want more money. They want more power. Power is important, so then you have like these like bigger players kind of assessing like, unfortunately, environmental work doesn't have profit in this capitalistic system, profit that is instant. It's more of like something that you do and you work and then you see the fruits of that later. But, we live in an impatient world and an impatient government that wants money now. So they want to like focus more on the energy aspect, the fishing aspect, whatever, we'll just eat as much as we can till we can, and then we'll figure it out kind of thing, Yeah. And then the value of putting money into environmental work
it's just so far, like they can't see it, you know, they can't think holistically and mutualistic with the environment and see that as a resource in itself, you know. So it's just really, really annoying. Like, even though people were trying to do this work, people were very passionate. Yeah, it being such a big thing with so many players, with like really money driving everything, made it extremely difficult to actually put these recovery actions into place and actually do it, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of times we only had time or enough research to just monitor it, just to see where we're at. And it's always very, very upsetting and very negative when you're like going through the toxicology reports of the animals and the whales and the number counts, you know, and it's just declining every year, declining. And, you know, we're just seeing it like fail. But the data is important to have, you know, to have the data. And then eventually, hopefully, we have some policy people top down that care about the data. They can actually see the data and be like, okay, we really need to do something about it now. Because like, but will it be in enough time for us to really have a great impact on us, you know, and the environment?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just demoralizing. And like, I'm glad that I like saw it quickly. I saw the failing choke point, the point that, you know, and I was like, oh heck no, I'm jumping ship. Like, before it gets, I even put even more time into that, and then I'm like, it's harder to break away from that, you know?
Right.
So that's when in 2018 is when I went completely out of the system, and then I did it myself.
Yeah, good for you.
And I was pretty empowered by some of these biologists and stuff. They were like, you know what, just do it. Like, do the thing. Like, I see the passion in you. Like, I know you want to help.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean that even though we're like leaving or like this is going downhill, like doesn't mean that you can't do a change. And that's what empowered me to really, okay, from top down to top down, like from the bottom, I was like, oh, so I can do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's my mission, to from the bottom up inspire people and help people to connect with nature more.
Well, and I mean, what you're sharing is really interesting, right? Because you're right, there is, not just in government, but in our whole culture, right? Because it's a capitalist system, so profit is the driving consideration.
Yeah.
But, you know, then you sort of get this problem that you're talking about, right? Where it's like, there's no obvious profit, at least in the short term, to pursue these projects that maintain or even repair the environment, right? But there's no obvious like profit from these projects. And so, you know, when the question is, okay, how do we get the most bang for our buck? And the answer is, well, actually what we need to do if we want any bang is to invest a bunch of money. Then of course you're going to get the answer of, well, then we're not doing that. Just sit and monitor. And then your job becomes watching it decay slowly over time and filling out paperwork about it.
This is sad.
It's sad. And I think sort of what you're pointing to too is that structurally, these bodies, these government bodies that we have like abdicated responsibility for the environment to, they're not set up to actually solve any of these problems, like practically speaking.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think also to your point about the bottom up, right? The inspiring people. You know, when you think about people working in a bureaucracy, in an office tower or whatever, like monitoring or caring for our lands, it's like, could you be less connected with the land that you're supposed to be taking care of?
Yeah.
Right? Like, tell me, how often were you going on site?
Well, we actually, you know, to be fair, the people and the biologists, they're outdoor street people.
Okay.
Like, we always went crabbing, fishing. They were very connected to the land. Like, you know, really like organic, green, hippie kind of people, but with with a mind and trying to solve issues, So we did go to site visits. We would take boat trips. We would actually go and do testing. I worked at a fish hatchery with like the grunt workers that are, the bottom people that are doing the heavy work. Like, so we did that. We did camping trips, and we like, kind of talked about. So the people there really care,
100%. And there can be a disconnect between the individuals that make up the organization and the organization and how it functions, and what its values and sort of driving principles are.
Yeah. But there is a sense of disconnection too, for sure. And I think the people working there maybe believe that the only way for change is to go up there and try to do it from the policy side, from the top down. But then having the ugly truth of like, oh, maybe that would be a thing if the, government was about it too. And that was our, forefront, like in Spain and many other countries that are or Costa Rica, that are much more environmentally driven, I think they just have the ugly, reckoning of like, crap, so it isn't top down here how I should really, just what I should only do, so, a lot of those people were very like environmental people, like from the bottom up, like, recycling and composting and doing cool little
like
things,
yourself.
Yeah. And like, putting value in just going on a hike, or, instead of going to the movie theater or feeding, consuming, like, no, let's actually just enjoy family or cook together, or, go travel and hike this forest, or go surfing. Like, there's so many things that you can do that are like not, that are free. And that is the value, like we were giving this playground,
Yes.
now we're just like not seeing the benefit from that, and it's just
and not appreciating that this playground like is the substrate on which everything else happens here.
exactly
Like
100%.
Yeah,
It all came from that,
totally. And this idea that, I mean, this mistake, I think, in our culture, that you can prioritize profit to the exclusion of everything else, including the substrate on which the profits happen. I mean, it's very short-sighted.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's
let this one go, guys. Yeah, let it go. No, I mean, it's wild. It's I actually just had last summer, I took a road trip, and I was like, I'm gonna go see untouched nature, because I hadn't seen it before, I mean, you like go into the mountains or whatever, but I'm like, I want to go places that people have not been. I want to look around, I want to see the horizon, and I won't want to see any evidence of civilization. It was awesome. It was beautiful. I saw some purple mountains, didn't know they came in that color.
Nice.
But what I also noticed was that everything was fenced off. Back in episode 9, I talked about how you may be unwittingly supporting the oil and gas industry through your bank. U.S. banks contribute 33% of fossil fuel financing globally, amounting to a total of $289 billion in 2024. When you open an account at a bank and deposit your money there, your bank turns around and uses your money to make more money for itself. Banks like JP Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup are heavily invested in fossil fuel financing and have been increasing that financing since 2022. These banks are also invested in fossil fuel expansion plans, which essentially means they are invested in decades of further fossil fuel dependence. Together, JP Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo provided 21% of global fossil fuel financing in 2024. But here's another way you may be unwittingly supporting the oil and gas industry: your credit card. Issuing credit cards is a common bank lending activity that relies on deposits from consumers like you and me. Credit cards are super profitable for banks because they can triple dip, or make consumers pay up to 3 times to use their credit cards. First, banks often require consumers pay an annual fee, regardless of whether they actually use the card. Revenues from annual fees more than doubled between 2015 and 2022, from $3 billion up to $6.4 billion. Second, consumers pay higher prices every time they make a purchase. Credit card swipe fees added more than $160 billion in bank revenue in 2022. That's up from $66.5 billion in 2012. Swipes typically amount to 2 to 4% of the purchase price, and these swipe fees tend to be merchants' highest operating cost after labor, and often these expenses are baked into prices and passed along to consumers. Third, banks require consumers to pay high interest rates on their credit card balances. Interest charged on credit cards by major banks totaled $105 billion in 2022. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, credit cards have never been this expensive. The nation's 25 largest card issuing banks charge interest rates 8 to 10 percentage points higher than the rates charged by credit unions. And surprise, surprise, the bank leading the way in fossil fuel financing is also the leading credit card issuer. By far, Chase has issued more credit cards than any other banking institution, with more than 149 million Chase credit cards in circulation. The next largest issuer is Capital One, with 106 million cards in circulation. Here's what's interesting about this to me. In 2024, Chase reported total annual revenue of $177.6 billion. 43% of that came from consumer and community banking, which includes credit cards and consumer bank accounts. That means that in 2024, Chase saw annual revenue of $76.3 billion thanks to us. This number dwarfs the $53.5 billion Chase invested in the fossil fuel industry in 2024. What that means is that ordinary consumers like you and me are bankrolling continued and growing investment in the fossil fuel industry by using credit cards issued by banks like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup. Here's some alternatives. Get a credit card through your local credit union. Credit unions tend to charge lower interest rates on outstanding balances, and they also tend to support local initiatives and invest in their communities rather than investing in fossil fuel projects. Another option is to use cash. Paying with a card feels so convenient, particularly in our e-commerce era. But what you're trading for that convenience is higher prices, higher interest rates, higher taxes for your local businesses, and more data collected on you and your activities. Consider getting into the habit of carrying cash and paying with it when possible. Let's opt out of supporting banks who are financing our continued dependence on fossil fuels with every purchase we make. All right, New Humans fam, let's get back into the episode. You worked in the government at all levels for like 10 years until you couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
So in 2018, I created with my business partner at the time, GeoARI. It's a geospatial aerial robotic imaging. Kind of very technical and kind of coming more from a GIS, remote sensing, mapping, data collection, and kind of using the machines before it was AI and all that. Machines, robotics was the thing, and then AI got crazy or whatever. But my whole theory is like, we created this insane technology, machines and AI and all this, so why don't we use that to help the environment? Because we have been destroying it little by little, but just as humans. But now we have this tool where now we can all be way more efficient. So maybe we can actually recover the damage 4 times faster by using technology, So I decided to create GeoARI, which is geospatial aerial robotic imaging. The logo is like a map, like Mount Hood. It was inspired by Mount Hood. And it has like green forests and like little water features, but it's also, you can see the topography and kind of like the building of the stitching of a 3D model. So kind of using, Some of my favorite classes in college were remote sensing, was like actually seeing the satellite imagery and studying the water or studying forest with the green band, the water with the blue band, that using different tools to kind of analyze what's really happening, on Earth. So yeah, then I was like, you know what? This is great. Like, there's a lot of theory in this and talking about, oh, we can make a pond or we can do this or whatever. But if you actually use science and machine learning and all this stuff to actually create data and models and things, and people see it, and then you show them, then it's sold, like it's like, a really good way to optimize the development of land and utilize your resources, like your trees, protecting things, cataloging things, kind of really understanding in a really like deep way what's happening with your land, and how to like optimize it and develop it in it with environment in mind and conservation, but doing it with the least amount of our effort, our resources, using the environment, working with it mutualistically to get there without having to invest all this capital money and all this stuff. So empowering people that, you can do it yourself. Like, you don't need big grants and all this or that. You can actually use the environment and use the momentum that it's giving you to get where you want to go. So yeah, like kind of using science, kind of the technical side, but bringing it to the empowerment of the landowner and making them see and visualize like what we're doing and what you can do with your land. And then the value that it makes you, like putting a permanent pond when you have an intermittent one, and actually creating habitat for fish, for aquaculture, polyculture, ducks, then you get more wildlife coming in. All of a sudden you've increased your land value by 50 to 100K, just for having a permanent water feature that actually has fish.
Right.
And whatever that is, or if you want to protect old growth forest, if you have things that you didn't know you had, you could get like protection things and you could get money. If you create habitat for birds, like there's bird conservation agencies that will give you money if they see a specific endangered bird. There's just a lot of ways. And then I do a lot of water quality testing, and I find water features and I test them, and I do watershed analysis to see where the water's coming from, to make sure that there's no agriculture or whatever, or like a pollutant, like a company that's gonna like, and then I actually test the water and make sure I'll tell you like, oh, you can swim here, or you can actually drink this water, or you can use this for irrigation farmland, And a lot of people didn't even think they had like springs and stuff. And then I find springs and I'm like, look at this. Mother's fountain right here. You didn't even know you had it. Check it out. This increases the value of your land, having natural springs.
For sure.
So yeah, kind of just, use a big magnifying glass and let people kind of see what they have in their land, how to protect it, how to utilize those resources, and also kind of, if they want to develop some kind of like a capitalistic kind of mindset, money return, whether it's like a eco lodging or eco restaurants or retreats, eco villages, academia and stuff, maybe just a research farm, whether they're trying to acquire more money, which is great, let's do it with nature in mind, and let's do it in a way that like we're letting people kind of fulfill that capitalistic thing and money or whatever, because it does run the, our system, but also doing it in a way with like where you've now used your land to the ultimate potency and like, so you've like developed with it, and you've actually kind of like, let's say there's like 5 mango trees growing in this like patch, you can actually plant more mango trees and like use that to kind of keep going. But you're like accentuated your land with what it was already doing, but then you put a little bit of human work into it and you kind of work with the environment, and then it becomes something even way better, because you're both working together, So yeah, that's kind of like overall what I help landowners do, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that this moment is very much about coming to be in right relationship with the planet, sort of to your point, right? And kind of the way that we've been pursuing construction. I mean, did you ever play the computer game version of Monopoly?
Like just Monopoly?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I
No?
did.
Okay. Well, one of the graphics, which I thought was hilarious, was like, you'd buy a new house and then it would like do this sort of shot onto your property. You put on your note, like, yeah, show you the property with your new house on it. But it would look like one of those little plastic things, but it would just be like plopped on there randomly. So like it might be like on its head or turned around this way or whatever. And it almost feels to me like the way we've been pursuing working with the earth is like that. It's just like we're just putting stuff up randomly, not really thinking about sort of the surrounding environment.
100%. There's so much to it,
Yeah, and the other thing that sort of something that you raised kind of brought to my mind is like there are ways to construct houses, for instance, right, where you're taking advantage of where the sun is like rising and setting, right, for lighting in your house. Or building into like the slope so that you're actually taking advantage of some of the geothermals for heating, right? Or things like that. And the kind of work that you're doing sounds like you're actually enabling people to be able to do that kind of thing. I mean, as well as other stuff, right?
Right. You can do it all. You can do your, nice retreat center thing and have people come in and pay. But if you do it right and you inspire other people, then it's going to be way more popular, because you're actually, I really like when they, like ecotourism, and I like in Costa Rica and things where you can actually stay in these places and do some farm to food to table like workshops. You're like got your yoga deck, you got like wellness incorporated in there, you got like gardens and things, and like sustainable lodging, sustainable building. Like a lot of the places, like I would find bamboo for them if they want to do bamboo builds or whatever resources, and it's like, oh, you have it in the land, but if you harvest it this way, you're not actually like deforesting, you're actually doing it with the environment. So yeah, a lot of time, or like rock quarries I would find so they could build their gravel, and they could build like the terrains and what did they call it in Costa Rica when we flatted out areas for like building houses? Plantales or something like that. Anyways,
sounds right.
But yeah, using the kind of like already like the hills that you have, and thinking about water, where's your water gonna be, and there's a lot of considerations, and like energy, if you want to do solar and insolation. I've done studies of like following how many hours you get of sunlight in specific areas, and I kind of combined like geomorphology, the study of land, geography, environmental factors, all the resources, and then also like the client's budget, and kind of like, do you want to just do it in like 5 years and spend way more money, or do you want to have this be like a 20-year thing that you do it in stages that is going to be totally digestible, but then 20 years from now you're gonna be like, holy smokes. Look, holy smokes. So yeah, it's like that long-term value that you build with people at the ground level, but eventually, hopefully, we can convince the government that, there is, long-term value with doing, getting out of fossil fuels and getting to renewables, and establishing more environmental policy and protection, and regeneration. Like at this point, it's not even about protection. At this point, it's about like, we've got
some repair work.
We gotta repair, like do a complete 180,
100%.
Yeah, regardless of what happens top down, like I compare myself like, oh, the gratitude I got from when I did work in the environment for making this tool, and, making this way of tracking all this stuff going on. Great. That all felt good. Everything was in place. But is there actual action on the ground?
Yeah.
And that's something that was always the missing link. So I was like, okay, cool and all, but now, even if it's like the smallest little thing, whether it's like a, 70-acre land or 2-acre thing or a tiny little house or from any scale that you want to choose. I have gone to places, Guatemala, Costa Rica, West Coast, Idaho, California, Bend, Oregon, and, Banks, like in the coastline. I have gone to places where I have done this work. I have documented the land, inspired people. Some people carry through with it because they are the landowners and you are the land steward. And I'm trying to just inspire you. But more and more we have landowners that are like, hey, Alvaro, like, let's talk because I really want to do this right,
Yeah.
So I'm actually seeing the ground thing, even if it's geographically this little area or this little guy. But then they're going to talk to their neighbors, and then the neighbors are going to talk. And little by little, from down up, I'm seeing actually more action on the ground than the other way around. So,
and I think that's exactly how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it might feel like small little plots of land, but like every little bit helps. And shoot, I mean, I walk around my neighborhood and like people are starting to farm in their front yards, and like that might feel small, but it's like it adds
It is
up.
insane how much carbon you can sequester if you have the right mindset and you're actually growing flora, and growing plants and trees and growing food. If you understand the sequestration capabilities of doing that, it is so insane. Like it's a big impact, if we all start doing that.
Yeah.
You can do so much from a little plot of land to just out, kind of do a lot more than some of the damage. And then, little by little, like you can sequester a lot of carbon and kind of redo what we have, the damage that we have done.
Yeah.
And then policy is getting better in these places that really are important, like the Amazon, and they're like, okay, we can't deforest.
I am so glad to see that they're like finally taking steps with the Amazon to like stop that. Oh my gosh.
100%.
I can't believe, I mean, I'm glad that it happened and it's happening.
It's happening with every government except ours.
Except ours. We're the ones showing you how to not do it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I mean, what you're talking about is exactly what David Attenborough talks about in his book and also documentary, A Life on Our Planet, right? He's like, look, like if we're going to make it, what we need to do is we need to rewild this planet.
Was it called Rewild? Is that
he uses that phrase. No, but the book is called A Life on Our Planet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And, I think to connect this with something that we were saying earlier, it's like the government is probably not the right body to be in charge of that. Right. And I think part of it is that people have connection with their land, right? Like I feel connected to Portland. I feel connected to Oregon, right? I think you had a farm for a while, right?
Yeah.
You were concerned with that farm, right? The city of Portland or wherever you were, like, wasn't like caring about your land the way that you do.
100%.
Right. And, I think more and more, and just sort of what I see when I look out at this moment is people are starting to wake up and be like, oh, I'm responsible for this.
Yeah.
I can take some ownership of this. I get to be sovereign in helping to solve this problem and to help heal my home.
If everybody planted 1,000 trees, we'd be done with global warming.
Really? Is that the number?
Yeah. But 1,000 trees in your whole lifetime?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Not that hard.
Well, and for anyone who's in Portland, and I'm sure other cities too, there are free tree programs. Like you can get free trees from the city to plant on your property.
It's probably an estimate, probably not like accurate, complete, but it's like it's an attainable goal. Yeah. Like if you think about your whole lifetime and how much impact we can do, with my college, like we planted like it was a class of like 12 of us, but in like, I don't know, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees in this riparian habitat. And we just knocked it out, and we put the tubes and made it so the deer can't get to it. And now it's like this whole habitat, but like just one classroom, like planted almost that number, in one like semester.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And you have already planted, you're already doing it, right?
I'm working on
it. You're on your thing. So like even just for indoor air quality, like the amount of like much more cleaner, and the more, like in my apartment we release like ladybugs, and I do like predatory mites, and I control pests with like real animals. It's called like predatory like management. It's like a permaculture technique that
I'm sorry, let me just understand. You have ladybugs living in your apartment?
Not anymore, they're gone.
Okay.
They left. But for a bit they were going ham. They're generalist predators. So they eat mites, all kinds of stuff, thrips, scale bug, like they eat, kind of a lot of stuff. Maybe not scale bug as much, but like I love using, and then the pest was gone and I didn't do any work. It's just nature doing its thing.
It's nature doing nature.
You just have to kind of like, I'm there with like a magnifying glass. I'm like, oh, like there's a drip larvae there.
Hey, ladybug friend, over here.
Over here. And it's just like you're like in it, studying. Insects are great. Like they could save our world, but we just kind of know how to use them,
Or allow them the space to just be themselves. We have this attitude like we get to come in and make this planet however we feel like, know, and there is, to go back to the relationship thing, right? Like I think that we are meant to be here to help beautify this planet, but we have to learn how to work with it. And thanks to people like you and your work, I mean, I think we're getting there.
And thanks for you for showing it to the world and for having the outreach, because if it wasn't for what you're doing now, our voices wouldn't be heard as much. And now we can use the power of internet and Instagram and social media to disseminate information everywhere, and really put it in the front lines. And, people are addicted to Instagram, like, all right, get addicted to all this environmental and conservation stuff.
Totally.
So,
Yeah, let's have this conversation on your phone.
Yeah.
We're just gonna beam it right into your hand.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you giving this platform an opportunity for me to actually encapsulate it, what I'm trying to do, and not just be like this one-off thing, conversation at a bar or whatever, It's really nice to have someone that is caring and you have this mission to really put it out there, So thank you.
Thank you for
We have to work together. And that's like a thing that people need to take today with them, like it takes a village. We've been community people, we're pack animals. Like you don't have to do it all, but just tell someone how to do something and maybe they get inspired to do this specific aspect of it. Like my friend who's just cleaning up rivers now and doing trail runs.
I love that.
And then other people like you just want to, showcase it and have a cool like show about it.
Help connect the dots.
Maybe some other people, like I'm about to go pick up soil and worms, red whittlers from my permaculturist friend, and he just goes into yards and just like plants and just does like works with like 7 different urban gardens, and I'm just like, he's fulfilling that part of it. So if we all keep talking and keep working together and kind of focusing on what we love, but kind of relating that to nature in some way, like together we can all complete the circle.
No, it takes a village. And I think too, something that we're doing is becoming aware that the whole human family is one village, and we might not have that sort of conscious identity yet, but I think it's growing.
I think it is. It's really cool to see, like, Japan, this Japanese company was like proposing how to put solar panels in the moon to like create enough power to power all of Earth in the moon equatorial region. So it's like always on the sun, and there's no atmosphere, there's nothing there. So it would be like much more efficiency of power, and then it would beam it to Earth. So it's like
interesting.
All these different cultures, I feel like, are, countries and things are like really trying to innovate. And a little bit of me, like, is kind of, there's like a lining, what is it? Like a silver lining in this whole Strait of Hormuz situation.
Tell me.
Where now, we're so freaking depending on these fossil fuels, that now all these countries are like, holy crap, like we're gonna run out of like energy and like people can't go to work and stuff. And like, it's like Mother Earth going like, whoop, there you go. There you go.
It's time to get off this.
Yeah,
friends.
maybe you were a little bit too dependent on this
Yeah.
liquid,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Liquid crap.
No, I actually think the exact same thing.
Indirectly, it's kind of making people think about, oh, well, why are we even so dependent on something that's so far away?
Yeah. Well, and even in my own life, so I'm kind of looking out on the situation, and look, I don't know what's happening, but I do know that if the situation goes on long enough, there could be implications for our power grid here. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm dependent on the power grid. I'm in an apartment, that makes sense, but I can get solar backup. And so this situation is actually forcing me or encouraging me to actually start putting my foot into the solar arena as well, which I hadn't done before.
Yeah. I think Portland is like 60% hydropower.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I'm not sure what the number is, but like
you're gonna check it right now.
Maybe. Is that okay?
It's happening. We're here now, friends.
No, never mind. We'll check it later. But it's like a substantial amount of our power. So like, already at the state level and like city level, like I love Oregon.
Yeah.
And like we care,
Yeah. No, I agree with you that the risk of that may be low. And, in the context of this enormous shift that's happening, in the context of there is a global event that is causing people globally to question their dependence on oil. And if, as you're saying, part of what's happening is the earth is like, all right, it's time to be done with this. Mm-hmm. Well, how does that happen, practically speaking? Do people just decide one day to like change how they're working or they're doing stuff? No, generally speaking, what has to happen is some sort of crisis point.
100%.
So I'm like looking out in the distance and I'm like, well, shoot, like if this is all happening, then some sort of crisis around power is probably coming. And so I want to be prepared for it.
100%.
And I'm not saying that as a fear-mongering thing. I'm not saying it from a place of anxiety, but I am saying like, let's look at what's happening and coming in the face and like make some grounded, rational decisions about how to address it or be prepared for it.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the beautiful thing about, capitalism, is bad with it. But hey, guess what? Like if money does run everything, and if the most precious resource for us, oil, is getting more expensive, that means that the gas is going to get more expensive, food is going to get more expensive, because our agriculture system is built on fossil fuels with the carbines and the tractors and the big agriculture. And if like literally everything, products are going to get more expensive and everything's going to get more expensive, like you're going to think about it more. You might carpool, more. You might be like, oh, maybe I should grow my own food to like create some food security, you know, and to like, maybe I should learn, I'm a big doomsday prepper. Like as a scientist, I want to be prepared for the worst, but not live in fear, but just be ready. And that's why I'm learning about mushrooming, foraging, how to understand nature, how to create off-the-grid power, energy, how to use micro hydro systems to create power, how to use solar. Knowledge is power, right? So if you have all this knowledge and experience and case studies that you've done, experiments that you've done in places, just do it. Just like go out there and learn and like fail and like do something else, and now use the power of AI to even learn faster. There's so much we can do to prepare for this possible thing that could happen. So only the people that are like actually preparing now and really taking it serious now are going to be the ones that prevail, when the system that it goes down.
Because you don't want to be finding yourself needing a solution in a moment of crisis.
Exactly. Yeah. And you want to know how to like completely live off the grid. Like, can you create energy for yourself, aka permaculture, food? Can you create power for your gadgets and technology and that you have, whether it's solar, wind, micro systems, or a lot of times you have to combine systems, that's what I've seen, and like you can completely live off the grid. And I have like already pieces of land and a crew of people that we have talked about, like, hey, if stuff hits the fan, like we're moving here and we're doing it, and we're gonna like survive this, thrive. Yeah. Yeah. Well, until we learn it all and get the ball.
No, I got
moving.
you.
But yeah, thrive. I like that.
One of the things I really appreciate about Burning Man is that I at some point I realized, I was like, well, shoot, like suddenly now I have all of the gear that I would need to like survive a natural disaster, right? But the other thing is that because Burning Man is a celebration, it's like, not only am I prepared to survive, I'm prepared to fucking dance.
Yeah.
Through a natural disaster.
I love it. There will be parties at the communes. We have sound systems too.
Yeah.
And solar.
And we got all the DJs.
And now, yeah, exactly. We definitely have enough DJs.
Everyone's a DJ.
USBs. But also the batteries, like the technology is just getting so much better. Like we have these 2 C1000 Anchor batteries, and we have solar for them. So we could live like with a power outage for like a week at least. And then if we're recharging and stuff like that, and I have a generator too and all this, but then the Jenny needs gas, and this and that. So it's like, I live in an apartment, right? But I have like 20 gallons of clean water for drinking, and then we also have like gray water or whatever for containers for our plants, and like just distilled water, that's not drinking, but it's good for plants and stuff. And now we're going to be making compost water with
like compost tea.
Yeah, compost tea. And then like, and so we have like electricity, we have supplies, we have a lot of food. We have waste of cooking the food if the electricity goes out. So, like we could hunker down for a bit, and we're also creating food in our balcony. I have herb garden, and I'm going to be creating like a little garden that's going to be more substantial than last year. So every year is a little bit more, and I like the Japanese way of thinking, just do 1% better every day, just kind of, maybe plant some seeds here, maybe do a little bit of this. It doesn't have to be anything great, but if you get into that momentum throughout your whole lifetime, we live so long and we have such a long time to give back to the environment, so yeah, I just empower y'all to do it. 1% out of 10.
1%. That's all it takes, compound interest. I mean, that's how people make money off of money.
I mean, I learned the hard lesson that making money fast, quick does not work. I got into so many investment scams and trading and banks that give you this and make you rich, and then they go bankrupt and they take your money. And
well, isn't that kind of what we've been doing? The get rich quick scam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
overall, it's kind of like the thing, but also
it's like that focus on this moment. It's the focus on today's dollar. It's the focus on right. Yeah. But and just to connect it back to what you were saying earlier, right? It's this, we need to do that mind shift to understand that like wealth is built over time. Environmental health is built over time. And that is like the most valuable thing.
100%. And rich is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs less. And if you find value in other things that are not monetary, you're going to have a rich lifestyle and life, Yeah, I've never had like really fancy cars or anything, but I love my Honda Element, I know how to fix that engine. It's at 210,000 miles. I'm going to run it to the ground.
I love those cars, yeah.
Like I'm fortunate enough that I saw the value early in my life of things that don't have a price, and I really live for food experiences, Spaniard styles, like family, slowing down, being mindful, food, drinking, having fun, community. Just like we don't have to overcomplicate it, with all these shiny things, that there will always be another one and another one. And, constantly trying to shift, change, maybe not buy this thing because of plastic, or why don't we take the jar, like a glass jar, to like New Seasons and ask the meat guy to just weigh it out there. You can do that. You can buy it bulk. You can, we're starting to compost, and little by little.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If people want to learn more about you and your business, where can they find you?
www.
That's too many W's.
Okay, GeoARI.com.
Okay.
GeoARI.com, or Instagram, GeoARIPDX. Yeah, but my website has like my gallery and all my socials connected to it, and kind of like the mission statement and like some of the case studies and things that we've done. Yeah. So yeah, GeoARI.com. That would be the place. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, New Humans fam. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the New Humans for New Earth podcast. If you found this episode to be inspirational, helpful, or informative, please share it to your social media and tag us. Share it with your friends, your partner, a family member, or anyone that you love. If you loved this episode, please leave a review. And be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. This is how we help grow the New Humans community and help inspire others to join us in co-creating New Earth. This world is what we make it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.